Having a developer portfolio website is a very good thing because it gets you off typical social media. It allows you to show all your projects off, it allows you to show off your fancy CSS, and it teaches you some web dev. But a lot of people now are just making these egregious, derivative websites that are all copies of each other with terrible language. And if I was a hiring manager, you're done immediately as I see any of these things. But I'm not some huge authority on this either. I'm just a random guy. My website isn't insane, but I've kind of done some of these things in the past, so I just want to go over what's super cringe and what you shouldn't be doing. So first of all is the stack you choose to build your website with. It actually does not matter at all. You can use whatever you want. The cringy thing I see is when people put the stack they use on their portfolio website like that's some big important thing about them. They'll try to flex HTMX or Astro, or it could be anything. People use typical things too, like React. But the thing is, it really does not matter what your portfolio website is written in. No one is really impressed by that at all. I hate to break it to you, but if you're saying your website is written in Astro, immediately what I'm thinking is, okay, this guy watched the Fireship video about Astro, went to the docs, spent 15 minutes learning this basically HTML equivalent difficulty framework, and then banged this thing together. And then you're especially bad is if you're kind of touting the benefits of the framework. You're the islands architecture, this SSR of this framework is so efficient. It's okay, for the 2 views your website is going to get a month from you checking on your CSS while developing it. No one cares about that stuff unless it's an enterprise application, and even then they don't care. No one cares about that. So stop giving these frameworks free advertising, and no one is impressed by your ability to learn new frameworks. It does not matter what your static site basically was written in. You do not have to cover that on your website. So yeah, just don't even go into it at all and use whatever you want. It does not matter. No one is using this. And another thing is people saying, oh, SEO. Dude, no one is Googling your name unless you're an actual celebrity. No one is going to do that. But you contributing to some random Go library with 7 stars, you're not someone who is going to get a ton of website traffic. No one is looking you up. Recruiters are not looking you up. They're getting your website from links on your resume or LinkedIn, if they're even going to it. It's probably an LLM crawling over it at this point. The next thing is just the messages people put on websites are so bad. The writing is so bad. People will often say, I'm devoted to crafting beautiful and usable and simplistic and user first web interfaces or whatever websites. And using all those adjectives to describe something immediately implies that that's not something that's normal to be interested in. It's I like crafting beautiful performant websites. And the recruiter's oh, thank God. I thought this guy would like to craft hideous and slow and inaccessible websites. Good thing we know he likes crafting good websites. It's do you really need to specify you enjoy good design? Is someone really going to go on their portfolio website and say, yeah, I enjoy bad design. I like my websites to be really ugly. That's just such an unnecessary thing to say. A lot of people also say they're super passionate about good design and passionate about simplicity and stuff, and passionate about web development, and it's I don't know about you, but I kind of hate web development. It's I want to get this over with. It's just so cringy to say you're passionate about something like that. Passion isn't a bad thing necessarily, but it's just such a loaded corporate term now. This one in particular, designer and Webflow developer devoted to crafting beautiful web experiences focused on simplicity and purpose. Saying purpose, like other people craft things without purpose, and then it's super ironic because basically this website is without purpose. I mean, you enjoy crafting something that's telling people you enjoy crafting something about purpose. What's even the purpose of that, you know? And yeah, it's so cringy. I'm passionate about crafting beautiful web experiences. Ugh. And another thing is people will, so many of them, this is I thought this was just a few people, but I found 20 examples of people using bad grammar, particularly lowercase I. I don't know if you know, but I addressing yourself, that's a proper noun, so you capitalize it. You don't say I'm lowercase, you don't say I lowercase. So many people do that. I don't know if they just were doing that deliberately to be edgy, but then I'm okay, I'm passionate about. The only thing you're passionate about is like having bad grammar. It's what are you doing with that? I don't get like why anyone would ever do that. You're just I'm passionate about not learning the basic rules of English syntax. Hire me to like do some complicated syntax stuff with a programming language. I don't think so. Another thing is when people put way too much like personal information about their tastes and extracurricular hobbies on their website. And there's like an argument to be had that you can do whatever you want on your website and it's like about expressing yourself, and like MySpace was kind of like this and whatever. It's kind of like a social media, right? And in that respect, yes, it's okay. But if this is also mixed in with like your developer portfolio and you want like recruiters to look at this, it's like, who are you showing this to? You're showing this to like yourself when you visit it twice a month, and then like a recruiter once in a while. Like your website isn't getting a ton of traffic unless you're like a high profile person, which 99% of you aren't. Why are you putting so much like personal stuff about what you do? Like I don't really care, you know? I'm not trying to be mean, but I just don't need to see all of that. I don't need to see your like personal goals, your personal knowledge management system, what you've been reading, what you've enjoyed. And also, I don't know if this is just like chance and how it ends up with like white guys in programming, but you don't have to recommend Interstellar to me. I've seen like over 10 websites recommend Interstellar, and it's like they have their own dedicated advertisement team. At least they did during the movie's launch. Like, you don't need to keep propagating it. And like I want to go here to just see like cool things you've worked on. I don't really need to see all this stuff about your personal taste and how you like to run or whatever. And a lot of people's stuff is like so uninteresting too. Like, I'm passionate about reading, I'm passionate about learning both natural and programming languages. And just don't say that, just like do it. And you don't have to like, I guess this brings me to the main point. Like, people put way too much emphasis on these websites, like they're heavily visited things that like people will use to define you. Almost no one will see this unless they're like a developer like me, kind of scoping you out as competition, or a recruiter. Like, normal people aren't following links on your GitHub, like normal people you know in real life. So this isn't really like a social media thing. And if you're spending all your time like updating this and making it look good, it's just like, just spend your time programming real things. Same thing with like, a lot of these people have GitHub profiles where they have, you know, those people with like all the badges, like this is the editor I use, and here's the languages I know, and they've got all the icons laid out, and here's my like, they don't even have the normal contribution graph, they have like extra stats, like, you know, that thing that like ranks your like A+, and like whatever, you know what I'm talking about, and all those things that like the extra badges and stuff. It's like, you spend so much more time like tricking out what people will see of you than actually doing anything relevant, and all your projects are just like terrible as a result. You're not spending any time doing anything deep. It's all like shallow surface work to show off to other people, and it's just so cringy to do that. It's like, I would do that in the past to make my GitHub profile look good, and then I realized like, this is such an incredible waste of time. Like, no one at all cares. And now that I have like this YouTube channel, right, the numbers are like artificially amped up. Like, a lot of random people follow me, a lot of random people star my projects. That does not mean that they're good projects. That does not mean that I'm any more experienced or hireable. Like, it's all just artificial stuff. It's all fake. And like, if you think about someone's profile who does like real stuff, they have thousands of stars and stuff. Now think about like yours. First of all, no one really even cares about the person who's doing real stuff. Yours is like, you have 1 star and you have this whole tricked out bio with all your skills and stuff. Nobody is looking at that. It's just like, don't overemphasize all your technical skills on your website. You barely have to put anything on your website. I don't know. Same with, this is a whole nother video in itself, actually. Like, just, I kind of think note-taking systems and Obsidian and all that stuff is a little bit snake oily. Like, there's definitely some benefit to it, but people definitely inflate it too much, and it's become too external and too about the image of it and not really about the actual thing. For instance, like people that just like to look at their Obsidian graphs being huge and like all their nodes are basically essenceless. And people putting their knowledge graphs, whatever personal knowledge management shit, on their website, and you go and like look at it, and you start to read these things like, dude, I do not need your calculus 3 notes. Like, And if you read them closely, they're the most basic, like, AI summarizable, useless shit. Like, no one, even if you're going back to read these, it's like, this is embarrassing that these are your notes. And I'm not a huge note taking person, so maybe I don't fully get it, but just don't put that stuff. And it's even worse when it's non-STEM stuff, right? Like, okay, summarize your abstract algebra, summarize your whatever operating systems class, your complex analysis. That's kind of cringy, but it's not nearly as bad as people who put their notes for like English classes or non-STEM or I don't know, some kind of philosophy stuff. It's like the Wikipedia page for this philosophy book like exists. We don't need to see your shitty derivative version and these grand conclusions you're coming to yourself. It's like people make these websites like they're big celebrities and expect people to be crawling all over them, and like it just comes off as so egotistical and so shallow and so like avoiding work just for cultivating my personal image that no one actually will see. And yeah, I don't know, that may be kind of harsh to hear, and if you do any of these things, like, I'm not saying that, I don't know, I guess my advice to any of these people is like, just stop peacocking your developer career. This is mostly young developers I see doing this, and just go actually like make something in your developer career that's super significant, because an employer's not going to go on your website and, well, I'm going to go check out this guy's projects on his portfolio. Oh, he wrote a chess engine in Go that he just copied the pseudocode for and slightly tweaked to another language, and it has 1 star on GitHub? Fuck! We gotta hire this guy right now. Oh my god. Nobody's doing that. I mean, the guys that are getting hired, right? The people, like, for instance, I'll give as an example, this guy I know, Ethan Nizer, who he's also like a YouTuber. He's kind of famous for his work on the effect library, and he just knows it super well. This guy is a guy who his website is not tricked out like that. His GitHub is not tricked out like that. But he got a full-time offer at Vercel because he like actually worked deeply on something. And when you do that, you don't have to show that you've made all these things. Like, you don't have to show all this false progress, this false understanding. Here's all the languages I understand. It's like, okay, this guy he made a video series about this really complex, well, it's not really, but he made a really in-depth, well-made video series about this library. He's contributed to it. He understands it really well. He's made working full-stack implementations with this library. It's like, okay, this guy has done actual real-world work instead of just copying basic Astro HTMX docs into a shitty portfolio website and then glazing himself based on how effective these frameworks are for like industry applications. So yeah, I kind of did this in the past. I never really did it with my website. My website is, I don't know, it's just kind of like my links and stuff. It's not all that interesting. But I did this kind of with my GitHub profile. Like I used to be so obsessed with like stars and all that stuff and like what's the optimal bio, and it's just, and like your commit graph, it's just so meaningless. And your website is also so meaningless. And like, it's good to have a website, I guess, if you have some really cool projects, but yeah, so many of them are just so false. And we don't need to hear about all your stuff. You're like, especially if you're any kind of privacy advocate, you're just kind of doxing yourself in terms of all your interests and personality. Yeah, you're just spoon-feeding LLMs all your personal information. I don't know. Yeah, don't hate me, I guess. Subscribe if you wanna, whatever. Yeah, I'll catch you next time.